Hey, everybody, and welcome to a compilation episode of Frank About Health. I call it The Best of Morry. Morry Zelcovitch, who has been on the show about 5 previous times, was here to talk about his brain entrainment programs, known as the Morry Method, talking about his visual programs, visualizing quantum confidence. He was on the show to help me recap about mental health, as well as to talk about Alzheimer's disease. In addition, he has been a very supportive friend of mine in terms of helping my mother deal with sleep distress, as well as even discussing about techniques that I could use for my relaxation during moments of crisis, such as the technical moments that I've had on various shows, including with him. If you remember, I think one or two of them were done on my mobile phone, and yet the irony, the sound quality was better, the high definition was focused, and even so, it just showed that he's just on the forefront of all of his engineering programs that he's created. First, for his own mental health and prevention of suicide, that he attempted at least 6 times. And at the same time, now in his work on AI, which we will dedicate a segment of this show. So let me issue my official disclaimer for everyone out there. Remember, this is Stress Awareness Month, and I wanted him to be on the show today to talk about Stress Awareness Month and how AI can help, and at the same time, how the brain entrainment programs that he has programmed himself can also support a lot of the efforts that each of you are going on out there. That's why I'll issue the disclaimer, because most of this can be suspect, especially when you are not aware of all the fine details of the information. So please do not presume that the information that I'm going to review on this episode of Frank About Health is to be taken as any push for you to change your thoughts and views on ways to manage your stress. If you're already working with a neurologist, a psychologist, a therapist, a psychiatrist, if you have alternative means going on, do not dissuade from using them. If they work for you, that is excellent. What we want to do is add an alternative or add a supplement to your ongoing treatment protocol. And if it doesn't work for you, then it is not for you. But this show will just host information that has been said as food for thought. And they, just as a reminder, they're not the views of talkradio.nyc or Frank About Health, but I could tell you they are proven techniques that have worked for me over the past year since Morry first hit the airwaves on Frank About Health. And I believe in him a great deal, which is why I continue to have him come on the show. Now, I did receive a text from him stating that it might be possible that he'll make an appearance, but to please accept his apologies for not being able to coordinate with his schedule. He is based out of Canada. Simultaneously, even though it's the same time zone, it's just an issue where I was traveling. I sent the email request. He didn't see it till yesterday, but I was going to continue with my efforts to promote Stress Awareness Month, as I indicated at the end of the last show, which featured Karen as well as Dr. Orman, where he was talking about perception being one of 4 filters that we all go through when trying to manage our stress more effectively. So I just thought Morry is another counterpart that can add to what was said on that show. I want to thank all the viewers out there who actually watched it. I received input that over 30 downloads occurred of the free PDF that is still available till April 30th. It's about his new book, Anger Management, and I'll talk more about that later on in the show. But again, I just wanted to dedicate this hour to reflecting on what was said about Morry's 5 different appearances. I'm going to try, knowing full well that there have been technical difficulties in the past. I have more bandwidth on this computer, but I get the feeling after trying some samples of what I intend to show during each segment that you may not be able to hear his voice thoroughly. So if that is the case, I will narrate over it anyway to tell you the highlight that was said during that segment. And that way you'll still get the point of this show, which is a retrospective about Morry Zelcovitch and all of his efforts that he does in with the mental health community here in Canada and virtually here in the US as well. So that all being said, let me give you some history about Morry Zelcovitch. Well, first of all, he was referred to me by Sam Leibowitz and his first appearance was on May 11th, 2023. Now it is April 11th, 2024. Not quite 1 year um, yet, but how better than to bring him back now, especially during Stress Awareness Month? The irony is his first appearance was during Mental Health Awareness Month. And so he's just an expert at being able to use his engineering skills and talents and abilities to self help and reprogram, retrain your brain and engage your neural pathways so that you can get rid of the voices in your head that are telling you to kill yourself, so that you can hopefully reduce the amyloid protein buildup that can create Alzheimer's, so that your own stress can be reduced by the pulsations and vibrations of the sound waves that he's created or the visual files that he's created. I think if you recall, as you will also see again, he had one called Happy that would allow you to relax right before that stressful meeting, business meeting that you were about to go to, or a doctor's appointment that possibly had bad news to give you. Either way, Morry Zelcovitch is definitely a pioneer with neuro neuroprogramming or brain entrainment, as he calls it. But at the same time, a lot of it is still in its developing mode. So much of it can be left as a choice or a supplement and not the be all cure for whatever your neurological issue may be. All right. And so I will now attempt to show you his first appearance on Frank About Health, episode 1, called The Morry Method. And it will basically have a very interesting perspective, a declaration that he gave to the audience during that episode that I hope you can hear again. But if not, I will repeat it for all of you. And then I will flip the screen back and give you some of my other thoughts before we go to our first break. So bear with me for a second.
So quickly. 3 days all it takes, and you won't be able to stand up on your own.
Incredible.
Use your brain. Your brain is a muscle. If you don't use it, it will turn to mush, just like any other muscle you don't use turns to mush. You have an opinion. Listen to what other people say. Sure, if you're inspired by what I'm saying, by what Frank says, by what a president says, what a prime minister says, what a religious leader says, fantastic. But don't act on it like it's a blueprint for your life. Reimagine, reinterpret it, translate it into your own frame of experience, and then if you're still inspired, take the action.
I come back to all of you, and I don't know if you heard anything that he said, but I did very precisely. What he said is all of you should remember. You have a brain. Use it. Continue to flex it. It is like any other muscle in the body. If you are inspired by people, religious leaders, political leaders, influencers, your own doctor, just or even the sources that you read for information about your brain and its impact on depression or sleep disorders or Alzheimer's or any of the neurological issues that most of us do face, you have the power to go ahead and take the information that you receive and use it or don't use it at all if it doesn't fit your needs. He says you advocate for yourself. The whole purpose is to understand that in order for you to use the Morry method, you have to believe in that it's going to help you. You have to own your own neurological pathways, your own intuition, your own foresight. Don't be dissuaded by any information. Don't be dissuaded by me. Just basically go ahead and take any of the information, especially if you're an avid viewer of Frank About Health. I hope I have provided significant information over the past 111 shows. But if not, he is a verifier for some of what was said on that show, as well as what's being said on this show. He's pretty much showing on that first episode of Frank About Health that he appeared on, the Morry Method, that it is a tool to help you be in charge of your own brain. All right. And I hope That was the big takeaway that all of you who saw that show had received. Also, the other ironies that occurred, that was the first episode of Frank About Health held at the NYU Langone Center, where I am today. And also, it was on the day when the mask mandates in New York, all the quarantine, vaccine, mask mandates were lifted. And so here it is 11 months later. I haven't worn my mask in all that time, but I can say I am still COVID free, and I am at the same time using the Morry method for a lot of my stressful moments, including these bone conduction headphones, which is something that he highly recommended because it has a very sedative approach to when you are listening to his sound files, or even when I'm doing my show and listening to the conversations. It's almost like a massage going on in my brain. I have told him on some of the other shows he's done that when I leave a show with him, I feel more relaxed, not only because of the show we did together and the information that we learned, but it is also because of the impact that his voice had on relaxing my brain so I can focus on the conversation with him. So these are available on Amazon.com should you choose to buy them if you want to try them out. Let's see what else I can tell you. We are going to go to our first break in just a couple minutes, but remember, Morry Zelcovitch is a pioneer in brain entrainment, and he's using sound files, visual files, but he also wants you to continue using music and exercise and other forms of meditation that you are used to using, especially in terms of retraining your brain to learn new healthy habits and get rid of those toxic habits that unfortunately keep you depressed or create other kinds of neurological or psychological difficulties. Okay, 2 minutes to break. That all being said, please stay tuned as we're continuing the best of Morry Zelcovitch right here on Frank About Health, on talkradio.nyc, and on our YouTube channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitch. If you have any questions during the show, please comment on the YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn portions of the chat box, and I will try to answer them live. Or if you don't get a chance to ask your question and you would like to reach me, you can do that at frankrharrison1@gmail.com, or you can reach Morry Zelcovitch at the Morry Method at gmail.com. Okay, everybody, we will be back in a few. Stay tuned.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. Remember, April is Stress Awareness Month. Stress is generated from many reasons. If you recall from last week's show, we had learned that each of us are wired to pretty much jump from cause and effect instead of looking that there are typically 4 steps involved in the brain's processing of the problems that are triggering stress within you. Of course, the big lesson learned during that episode was the aspect of perception. I've always said perception is everything. When we receive input from the environment or other people or other crisis, if you will, our body reacts differently based on our own historical experience. Some people just look at it and deal with, okay, that's another problem I need to tackle. Some people have a meltdown and don't know how to cope. And then there's the middle of the road, the gray area. Well, that made me to theorize that most people can't tolerate the gray area. I think all of us went through that during COVID, that's for sure. Now, the thing is that the next segment of, or the next appearance that Maury had on Frank About Health involved pretty much understanding some stressful issues going on in his life as well as my own, all centering around Alzheimer's disease. Now, Alzheimer's disease or dementia has been an ongoing concern for me related to one of my cousins since 2022. The thing is I only learned recently she does not have Alzheimer's disease. She has toxic dementia from tobacco poisoning to the brain, overuse of smoking cigarettes. And it's unfortunate because that is her escape from her stressful moments in life. She would be smoking repeatedly and in turn, completely rewiring her brain, not processing words, not completing sentences, recognizing people, but accidentally calling them a different person's name within her life, not a fake name or a name of someone that doesn't exist. It's never been that kind of disassociation that most people who present with Alzheimer's do have. So, on one level, that's a relief, but on another level, it's still a disappointment. And the reason is for the fact that it's an individual, my cousin, who I love very dearly, who just never learned to cope with stress. And so, as a result, we do see that people who don't have the ability to cope with stress, whether it's due to a problem in your own life or a problem in a loved one's life. I mean, I've had the ongoing stress of also watching my father go through, adjust medications, and also resolve prostate cancer. It's stressful even in the resolution stage. There's like a form of PTSD that develops. So that's another reason why Morry Zelcovitch has been very helpful to me and my family, because he's been able to show how some of his technologies can help maintain a calm within me, can help my mother sleep better, and at the same time, can help my father see things more clearly. It's all a matter of education, it's all a matter of transparency. Let's just say it's a matter of frankness, as well as managing the perceptions that we all continue to have, trying to create more knowledge within the perception so that the person is in a position to accept the conflict and therefore reduce the stress while building the energy to resolve the problem. So I would have to say that the next segment, again, which I hope you hear, I will narrate through if you don't, um, is an example of how each of us can learn to cope with stress. And in this case, the stress of dealing with loved ones that have Alzheimer's disease, or in my case, perceived Alzheimer's disease, while in Maury's case, I believe it was his father. So bear with me while I show that scene.
It does.
Right.
Absolutely removes fear. And my wife, who had multiple issues with autoimmune that should have killed her doctor thought 3 months if she's lucky. It's now 13 years later and she's considered cured. Okay, because she paid attention and she didn't say I'm afraid. She said I want to know everything there is to know about this so I can try everything under the sun to get better.
Yeah. Become vigilant in a good way. All right. I don't know if you heard that, but I will do my best to give you an overview of what he said. Most people are always stressed or not able to process the information that they are receiving because of fear. Fear, as the acronym indicates, implies false evidence appearing real. There is also the issue again where it appears real because it is based on your perception due to all the filters in your brain that are focused on past experience that have served as the triggers for looking at a present circumstance that might be like the past rather than living in the moment and observing it for what it is. In this case, he talks about his wife where she had some form of cancer. I don't want to misquote, but I believe it was non Hodgkin's lymphoma. Either way, she appears cured now. And as a result of the treatment that she received, she basically has the desire to learn more about the disease, to find out all the possible solutions if it were to recur. At the same time, she's now still alive when she was given only months to live. So the proof is that stress is provoked by fear and faulty perceptions. When people receive the knowledge, information, treatment, it can only help make them rebound, become resilient to the stress, probably even be cured of the disorder. But knowledge is power, and knowledge is able to provide a solution from the fear so that you're calm enough to process the what could be very fatal or bad news and cope with it, deal with it, manage it. Just like what we said on last week's show. When you are aware of your anger and you're aware of the filters of what's creating the anger, it is the awareness and the managing of your perceptions and filters allows you to cope and deal with it. So it's ironic that we were talking then, me and Morry, about how we wanted to energize your life by energizing your mind, energizing your mind with information, as well as the sound files and other techniques that he has built in order to help your brain rewire. But it is a metaphor for the same thing that Dr. Orman mentioned last week. If we use our brain and education and knowledge and advocate for ourselves, we can detach from the emotional component of the trauma and process it, manage it, and become a champion at the end of the day. So I thought that was a poignant episode for the duality of his appearance, and that was, I believe, in July after Independence Day of 2023. And here we are, April 2024. Can you imagine what life was like for New Yorkers last week during first those big rainstorms and then the earthquake on Friday? That doesn't happen in New York most occasions. I mean, the rainstorms do happen, nor'easters they call them, but earthquakes happen on the West Coast. You know, the irony is every time an earthquake happens, I don't happen to be in the city. I'm either in the air or I'm probably asleep or I'm in another meeting when the epicenter is in New Jersey. So I guess I've been one of the lucky few to avoid living inside earthquakes during a tremor, or even when I'm in LA half the time, I've never experienced an earthquake or tremor while being there. So fate has had me be removed from that. I'm sure I was telling a friend of mine the other day that if I experienced a tremor, I would think it's an aura for an epileptic seizure. The point is, that's all my perception. Perception is something we all have to own and work with when dealing with our problems. And in this case, when Morry was on the show, we were showing how his wife had dealt with her health problems after being cured. She wanted to learn more and advocate for it. And he himself dealt with his own desire to kill himself by creating these effective sound files to and train his brain and get rid of all those voices telling him to do it. And he has not attempted suicide since. Okay, well, I guess that was another poignant moment. And I think we're about to go. Nope, no, I think we still have another couple minutes. Overall, what I can say about Morry Zelcovitch is that he definitely has a 360 view of how the brain works. There are obviously the understandings of the psychological and emotional impacts that each of the disorders that we covered on the shows have for not just the individual, but for their families and friends. He also has an understanding of the brain's engineering capacity, where he's able to create the necessary audio and video files to help us take control of this muscle up here that controls everything about us: our breathing, our sleeping, our life, our focus, our energy, and pretty much our rational thought, which is what we all want to keep and maintain. I guess it's when we reach the point of people who have suffered strokes or traumatic brain injury or Alzheimer's disease that suddenly some of the agency is gone, especially if it's just borderline dementia based on some other impact besides Alzheimer's. But when you have a support system around you, and when you, the individual who's part of the support system, is also supporting your brain, you're able to create a lot of good within those stressful moments and stressful times. Well, I think I'm going to give this break a little early time. So I just want to say, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to chat in our YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitch feeds, or to send me an email at frankrharrison1@gmail.com. But we're now going to go into our next commercial break. So stay tuned for this episode of The Best of Morry on Frank About Health on talkradio.nyc and on all of our socials. We'll be back in a few.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. We're now halfway through the show, The Best of Morry on Frank About Health. I can say that I just showed you guys an outtake of Retha Gray's appearance on Retirement House, or rather on Good Morning America with the cast of Retirement House, which I announced last week when we did our last episode from Chicago. I realized, speaking of technical difficulties, I had shown the commercial of the episode she had done on Frank About back in October, I believe it was, and the only one who saw it was me and Karen. But either way, it was better to see right now the loop of her appearance on Good Morning America. That show has had billions of streams on TikTok, and I think there's like almost 6 million followers on TikTok. It is a perfect outlet for seniors predominantly, but even the younger set, to watch these seniors all living in a retirement house together as one big happy family, all living out their senior years, reducing stress, through little pranks and little spoofs and little branding tricks that they have done. They've done it for consumer products. They've done it for Barbie. They've done it in Las Vegas. They've done it in the Bahamas. They've done it here in New York. They've done it with rap artists. They lip sync some of their songs. it's definitely a nice show if you get a chance to watch it. Again, it's on TikTok, but I think the intention is to make a reality show out of it, and hopefully it'll be ABC. But I don't know anything about that. That'll be the future, and when it happens, I'll have Retha on the show promoting the show and its impact, especially in with the mind and with health. And she's been such an advocate of this show for now going on 3 years that she's priceless. And I just hope that a lot of you, if you're not already watching Retirement House, have a chance to see it on TikTok. Now, that all being said, back to Morry. Talk about visual confidence and visual stress reduction. He started to appear on the show again towards the end of the year when we did 2 episodes together. One was called More Insights with Morry, and the other one was Visualizing Quantum Confidence. Now, I think I'm just going to go straight to the Quantum Confidence show because that was the main impact of that episode. I think the More Insights was more of a review of what he has done for me and my family in discussing Alzheimer's disease and sleep deprivation, as well as a recap on how he's been able to create his sound files. But what's more evident is that his major impacts in healthcare right now, or with brain entrainment, all involve artificial intelligence. And I think the fourth segment of the show is where I'll dedicate most of that to. But I just want you guys to learn that there are resources available out there to help with your confidence, to help with your energy when you need it. At the same time, to also help in dealing with those same effects of depression, anxiety, which definitely has helped me. I'm sure you all out there are trying to figure out how I'm feeling, that I'm here, but well, but I'm doing my best to spread the wealth of Morry Zelcovitch, and I'm hearing the playbacks as our it would just give you a big picture while it's stressful. That's the whole point. But I'm relaxed knowing that. Okay. Well, apparently the technology has rebooted the system. I don't know if I was frozen in time or if you've heard anything that I had just said, but I'm about to show another segment of Morry Zelcovitch on Frank about health. And I'm basically glad that I have just gotten the feedback that you guys could hear me. So I am now going to show this new segment, and it's about visualizing quantum confidence. And if you and even if you do hear it, or if you hear it choppy, I will tell you when I get back what he said. Bear with me. Okay, now I am sure none of you heard that one, but I am letting you know exactly what he said. He created an app, a visual app on his device that's called Happy. And what it does is it is a flickering of light that goes to your eyes, probably for just 30 seconds or a minute or so, especially when you are doing what you can to elevate your mood and be happy, especially if you're about to make a presentation or if you're about to do a meeting or you're about to be in a conflicting situation. He was talking about how when people listen, you could see, and he's done this virtually through his own YouTube or Google Chat system that he has up in Canada, where he would be able to see individuals looking at the visual app, and they'd start smirking. He was even role playing it right there. For those of you who saw him stop talking and then he was smirking through the corner of his mouth, he was just explaining that you could see that a smile is being born when they're looking at the app. These files are available on his website, which I already did show you. But again, for any of you wanting to look at what sound and visual files, it's the morrymethod.com. And basically, what you are able to do is download them as a sample. And if you like them, you can then subscribe and receive updated files as they come along to help you with various mood issues you might have. But visualizing quantum confidence is something new. I think it's part of his AI platform that he's building. If you recall, during one of the previous shows he was on, I mentioned he created an AI podcast that's available on YouTube. And it's actually the AI voices that are available. I think on Perplexity is one of them, as well as on ChatGPT, the mobile version that has voice activated. And he would have an interview with the voice and they would respond. And they would be 10-minute podcast episodes. I think only one episode is on there right now, still in the process of building more over time. Well, I guess all I can say is that in the last half hour of the show, I've talked about really 4 episodes that he's appeared on. If you want to take a look at them in their entirety, they're available on the YouTube page. You could look at Talk Radio NYC on YouTube, and you will see the Frank About Health playlist. And you will see one is called the Morry Method, which was May 11th, 2023. You will see Energize Your Mind, will energize your life by energizing your mind. That was available in July of the same year. You will see more insights with Morry and visualizing quantum confidence. That was available towards the end of 2023. And then when we return in segment 4, I will show his most recent appearance when he was helping us with Cardiac Awareness Month and showing how to use Perplexity as well as a ChatGPT to be able to show where you can get information about your heart and your brain. The segment I will show for Stress Awareness Month has more to do with the brain because, again, what you put in is going to manifest what comes out, especially stress. And again, he is not a neurologist by trade, and a lot of what he says cannot be clinically proven, nor is he going to make any kind of medical references because he does know the value of HIPAA and patient privacy. And all we're trying to do is give you techniques that could be supplemental in what's going on. I know that Morry Zelcovitch will be on the show again at some point, probably even next month. Maybe we'll do an anniversary show. How's that? But the thing is that he definitely is a champion of the show. And I managed to join his AI group, although I'm guilty of not attending many of them because of my own travels to different locations to do Frank About Health. But I have learned enough so far to try to show the AI portions of his talent by doing a show about him without him. And although he did say he might make an appearance, I'm just going to rely on the knowledge that each moment will happen and whatever happens will be great enough. And I just want all of you out there to know that there are resources available for you if you are dealing with confidence issues, sleep issues, dementia issues, PTSD, thoughts of suicide, depression, anxiety. Maybe you just need some meditational techniques. There's just a lot available for you. The morrymethod.com is the website where you can sample the files. You can also contact me. I have access to all of them, and I can send them to you by your email for you to download and try out on these bone conduction headphones. And you will see that it does work, especially during specific situation that you're looking to take care of. For me, it's been about meditation, relaxation, confidence boosting, dealing with change, dealing with technical difficulties, so forth and so on. But Morry has also been a friend, and he is also involved in a project that is ongoing right now that is going to show the value that he has in Frank About Health and that Frank About Health has in him, and in understanding his influence in the AI world, which I'm anticipating we will become more involved in together at some point, hopefully during the summer, if not after. Let's see what else I can say. Karen Ross and Morry know each other, as well as Morry is familiar with Dr. Orman. They've all met through various networking groups, but they all have their components. You know that Karen Ross is involved in hypnotherapy, and Dr. Orman is involved in anger management. And with all of his books, he has written books on sleep success, as well as 14 Days to Living a Stress-Free Life, among other kinds of psychological and neurological issues. But they have collaborated through those various groups in being able to host webinars, appear on different podcasts, and we're all here to help each other. And I could say that the three of them have definitely been very helpful to Frank About Health. We have 2 minutes until our next break. So that being said, please stay tuned. This episode of Frank About Health, where we're showing the best of Morry and his appearances on Frank About Health. I am hoping that within the fourth segment, we may see him show up. But if he doesn't, I'm going to replay. I think I'll even start the show with the replay of his appearance in February when he talked about AI in healthcare. So please stay tuned right here on talkradio.nyc and on our socials. We'll be back in a few.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Broncu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to our final segment as we are talking about the best of Morry Zelcovitch right here on Frank About Health. I've already spent the past 45 minutes also reminding you of the book offer that Doc Orman had presented on last week's show that will be expiring on April 30th. You have until then to get a free copy of his new book on anger management before it arrives on the Amazon shelves. Last week, it was on a special website because it was still temporarily being set up as part of an April book offer. But now it's on his personal website, docorman.com. Feel free to download it anytime. And then, of course, if you like it enough to get the hard copy on Amazon, that would be perfect, because I can already say that the few pages that I've read, or a few chapters, I should say, have done what they can to help me deal with some issues that I think if you saw that show, you could see I was dealing with some anger issues that were being masked by, I don't know, just my unawareness of being able to filter it and understand it for what it was, rather than just reactions I was having. So I have been spending a lot of the last two shows, especially this one, relaxing through very stressful moments, including this one where I can't even tell if you're all listening to the videos I've been playing back, or when the technological difficulties occur, if that's creating a very negative reaction to your exposure to this episode. Either way, Morry Zelcovitch did a very informative webinar. That's what I'm calling it, when he appeared on Frank About Health back in February, and was talking about AI in healthcare, in particular cardiac care, because it was for Cardiac Awareness Month. Now, I was wearing red during that time because of heart health. I think white is about stress. I could be wrong, but I am noticing that as I'm wearing this color, I feel kind of relaxed. But I did say in the last break, or before the last break, that I was going to show his sections. So I'm going to engineer this to hopefully pick up his lesson, and it may run about 5 minutes. There's not really much that I could say except to summarize it after it's over. But I will do my best to be back AS. Surprise, surprise! Morry has come to the rescue. All right. Whew.
Hey there. Sorry,
Thank you,
I'm so
thank you.
late. It's been a crazy
No.
time.
I was literally this second about to show your last appearance on Frank About Health back in February. But I have a concern that people are not hearing the sound. And so I've been acting as a narrator. And while that's good for your appearances on the show, I covered the first show on the Morry Method, visualizing quantum confidence, as well as when we talked about Alzheimer's disease. But that was in itself a soundbite,
Sure.
and if it wasn't heard effectively, I just compensated by summarizing what you said. However, the next scene was going to be your 2, maybe 3 minute presentation on perplexity on the heart and the brain. And if that went dead air for like 2 minutes, that would have been not an embarrassment, but it would have been, not satisfying. But you literally came as I was about to switch the screen, and yep, you know what? This is real. This is the real Morry. This is not AI, everybody.
I'm not AI. Really not AI.
Yes.
I'm not even intelligent.
But just
artificial.
Well, you were intelligent enough to create those sound files and those video files, but me the show and to do the show with these, because I know that I even said to you that after I finish a show, I feel more relaxed because of the vibration of our conversation. I don't know. Maybe it's it's passing the eardrum and going right to the middle ear, right? Or the bones in the
sound is vibration.
Sound
is all vibration, so it just vibrates through the bone and soft tissues, and your brain interprets it as sound. So you just happen to enjoy that. It's kind of like a massage. You can almost call it a neural massage, if you will.
And I think I did. I think I called it a massage when I was talking about it. Just for the benefit to see if maybe you can tell me if or even the beginnings of your webinar. I'll only give it like a 20-second play and then come back to you because I really want to finish the show with you. Let's see if you can let me know if during the past 45 minutes I was playing a lot of dead air and narrating through it. So I will be with you in a second as I pull up the show. Oops. All right, you know what? It's not working.
Those days. Oh,
I'm not going to mess up. I'm going to stop sharing and just with this is Awareness Month. So you being here has been the best representation. Basically, this. Let's just spend the rest of the time talking about what your experience was like on Frank About Health when you appeared on those 5 episodes.
Well, I have to tell you that they are easily my most fun time being interviewed. I like the
That's great.
exposure.
I
I mean, the
appreciate
exposure is good for my business and good for my, sense of credibility to others. I'm commenting that I've been on Frank About Health a number of times, and people actually look and go, really? No kidding. That's cool. So it helps my credibility. I have so much fun. You're such a good guy. You care about people. That matters. Sometimes people produce a show and it's about ratings or it's about, selling advertising space or ego. And you just don't seem to have any of that as an issue. You kind of want to make a difference in the world. You want to help people to be better than maybe they might feel like they are right now. And I resonate with that. I'm exactly the same kind of person. I want to be like that too. I want to help people to help themselves. I want people to live a better life. I want to live a better life. I want everybody to live a better life around me too.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I mean, I feel those sentiments because of the fact that even when I was talking to the listeners and viewers out there, I'm saying, well, here I am by myself and I am nervous and under my own stress. And you figure anyone who's egotistical about their own image wouldn't care about that. They would just go with the flow and talk, and probably even talk through the commercial breaks.
Well, sometimes you have to you're kind of thrown into a situation. And, the old Hollywood line of the show must go on.
Yeah.
Hey, I've done a
Especially
webinar
with
before.
you.
Look, I've done a webinar before where 3 people were at it.
Oh, only 3 people total?
3 people. And it got replayed and other people saw it. But when you do it, you can't sit there and go, hey, Joe, Sarah, and Steve, let's just have a chat in my basement. You have to behave as if you have a larger crowd and, and even if you're alone, it's going to be evergreen, it's going to be played back for other people. And you just go ahead, and you talk to nobody. And you can take that as hard to do, or you can just say, well, look, no one listens to me anyway, so who cares? Like 500 people in the audience and they're all sleeping. I have a joke because generally speaking, when I do webinars, whether there's 13 people or 30 people or 50 or 80 or whatever, by the end of the webinar, usually there's just as many people there. And I always get people telling me, well, that's really good. You're keeping them there. Like, it's not easy to keep someone on one webinar for an hour and a half, but you're really good at doing it. And I say, well, I think what's really happening is I'm putting them to sleep and they don't know they're still there.
That's possible too. I was even saying to myself, that I do know that most of my viewers are replays, meaning that I'll get my idea as to how this is my 111th episode. And what I notice is that thank you. And it's been a steady climb, thankfully. But the thing is that I'll see an episode, let's say even your show, the Morry Method. I think the first weekend after it was live streamed, it only showed 5 views. But after a week or 2 weeks on, having been replayed or people being directed to it, it ended up 100 views. So
wow. Nice.
It's like, and now we're on other platforms too. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitch, we're on LinkedIn or whatever. So the numbers are rising. And I'm noticing that my live stream is also a live recording, which is why what was so authentic about your AI show is that we were giving a webinar that was going to be seen later by a core audience, depending upon how it was promoted. So even if it was just, a live presentation and whether people heard it or not, that would be great live, leaving room for questions and answers. But the impact that I've noticed has been after the original broadcast.
Sure.
So maybe that's what allows me to relax, even if only one person is watching.
You should be relaxed anyway, because everything happens for a reason. And if it's going to be like 3 people on at a time or one person or even nobody during the live part, lots of shows are taped in advance.
Yes.
I mean, I remember
Yes.
in the olden days, back when dinosaurs walked the earth, that a lot of television shows had laugh tracks because they didn't have an audience. There was no one there, but they were all playing to an audience anyway. Because someone, even one person is an audience, 50 people is an audience. If your show, makes a difference in one person's life, it's worthwhile. It doesn't need to,
Absolutely.
because think about it. One person feels better. Every person they talk to is going to feel better too. It just goes and goes and goes.
Well, we don't have 1 minute left. And so this is the thing. I was just telling the people that you appeared on the show the first time, May 11th, 2023. So let's have you back to celebrate your 1 year anniversary. Let's do an entirely brand new show next month. Are you open for that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It'd be a pleasure.
And we won't show replays of old stuff. We'll just have a nice new organic conversation.
Yeah.
All right.
Be my pleasure.
So everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and it would be my pleasure to have you back as well. I was also saying that Doc Orman, who was on the show last week, Mort Orman, and you also know Karen Ross, who is my monthly review co-host for the month when we're doing like Cardiac Awareness Month last month. This month is Stress Awareness. But either way, maybe the three of us, the four of us, I should say, will all get together for a show like that. So my head is spinning with ideas for the future. Now that we've covered the last 45 minutes or so of the past with Morry Zelcovitch. So ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for our next week's slate of shows. I have them all listed here in front of me. Philanthropy in Focus with Tommy D at 10 a.m. Always Friday with Steve Fry at 11. Next week, The Hard Skills with Dr. Mira Branco at 5. One of our new shows, The Happy Spot at 6 o'clock. Then next week, this Consultant Hour with Sam Leibowitz, followed by Mind, Body, Health, and Mix at 2 o'clock, and another episode of Frank About Health. And I have a surprise returning guest who hasn't been on the show for 18 months. And so I will leave them empty until next week. So please stay tuned. Thanks again, Morry, for literally virtually being here, as well as making that appearance. I'm really grateful, and I will definitely be in touch with you over the weekend about doing that other appearance sometime in May, around your anniversary.
Thank you.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, more on Morry Zelcovitch, his website, themorrymethod.com. The various 5 shows we've highlighted, some of which I've left out for obvious reasons, but they are available on the YouTube page. And overall, if you have any questions for him, what's the email they can get you at?
Just my name, Morry Zelcovitch. So that's MorryZelcovitch @gmail.com.
Perfect. And you can reach me at frankrharrison1@gmail.com. Thank you again for watching this episode, this very intriguing episode of Frank About Health, but I think it was capped out nicely in this retrospective. And thanks again, Logan, behind the scenes, for helping me with all the engineering on every level. And thanks again for Sam for the introduction a year and a half ago. All right, everybody. See you next week. Take care.